and the aging Knicks knew that this title run could be their last. The Pearl began the Knicks' playoff march in style, leading them past the Bullets in 5 games. But the conference finals would prove to be a more difficult obstacle, and the Knicks would need heroic efforts from everyone if they were to get by the favored Celtics.
I was the kind of player that would challenge for the ball all the time. I was a person that didn't play defense defensively.
Played tight by Jackson. Cross-court White. White has the ball stolen by Jackson.
In Game 4, Phil Jackson's hustle helped the Knicks pull out a pivotal double overtime victory and take a commanding series lead.
You must understand, we were up 3-1 against Boston. And they were able to pull out games 5 and game 6. No one had ever beaten Boston in the 7th game in the Boston Garden.
It was a piece of Celtic history that the Knicks would now rewrite. Meminger would come off the bench like a whirlwind to ignite the Knicks. And with Clyde pushing the offense into high gear, New York convincingly defeated Boston on its home floor, dealing a painful blow to the Celtic playoff mystique. A second title was almost within reach. As they had in their first championship season, New York would face LA in the finals. But this year's confrontation would have none of the drama of the initial one, as the Knicks would crush the Lakers in 5 games. This series would be a celebration of recaptured glory and a tribute to enduring determination. For Monroe and Lucas, this was the championship that had eluded them throughout their careers. While for the veterans of the 1970 team, it was the title that would assure their rightful place in history. Steadfastly holding to their team philosophy, they had preserved their unique chemistry and left an indelible mark on their era.
The New York Knicks have defeated the Los Angeles Lakers by the score of 102-93, and they race off the court here at the Forum in Los Angeles with the 1973 World Championship.
I think the second victory etched in our minds, at least mine, that, you know, we were a team for a period. We weren't a flash in the pan.
And here you had a bunch of guys from all diverse backgrounds come together and to form this unit that will be remembered forever. I thought that team should be remembered for those 3, 4 years, 5 years, is whatever. It's probably the smartest basketball team ever assembled.
With the retirement of Reed, Lucas, and DeBusschere, the Knicks of 1975 needed help. They looked to big-name superstar Spencer Haywood to provide it, but he was no savior. 2-time scoring champion Bob McAdoo was the next marquee player to be imported. But the Knicks' problems were multiplying, and McAdoo was not the solution. Nor was free agent center Marvin Webster, yet another high-priced disappointment.
They felt as though they could always just buy what they needed, and we didn't draft the type of players that we needed to continue on with a tradition.
When the Knicks finally did try to build through the draft, they found temporary success with the young guard tandem of Ray Williams and Michael Ray Richardson, who led them to a 50-win season in 1981. But the Knicks' newfound success was not to last. Ray and Sugar Ray were erratic talents, and both were dispatched in off-season deals, leaving the Knicks at the drawing board once again.
We think that our philosophy of playing might be a little bit different than the majority of the folks, but I think that it is a proven philosophy.
By hiring Hubie Brown as coach, the Knicks would now usher in a whole new regime.
We're not jogging, okay? We're playing. We're playing. Now let's see the quickness.
But at first, this new regime brought familiar results, as the 1982 Knicks began the season with 7 straight losses.
We had 8 new players, and it was going to be a difficult job to turn it around. Now that team got off to a very rocky start. We lost a ton of close games.
Oh, he hit it! 3 seconds. Knicks don't have a timeout. And Atlanta's gonna win the game. That's
incredible.
That was disappointing. You know, it was a lot of pressure on everyone, but I think that Hubie did a good job of keeping the guys together. And we had some personalities on the team, Paul Westphal and Truck Robinson. And these were guys that were veterans, and, you know, they weren't the sort of guys that were going to lay down.
The Knicks staunchly held to their plan. On offense, they would get the ball to forward Bernard King and find center Bill Cartwright in the low post. And on defense, they would press.
Pressure helped that team.
Ambushing unsuspecting opponents, the Knicks unleashed a 10-man swarm, deploying the tenacious second unit to wear down their prey.
Now the Knicks team.
We started to gel, started to learn the system and learn one another. And I believe in the second half of the season, we ended up having the second best record in the league next to the Lakers that year.
Now, narrow losses were replaced by dramatic victories.
Bernard going with a long jump shot. What a shot by King! 2 seconds to go. In the spiral. 2 seconds, 1 second. He hit it! He hit it!
We were able to end the season in a roar. Win our first 2 games in the first round. We defeated New Jersey. And then in the second round, we ran into the famous Philadelphia team, fo.
The powerful Sixers would go on to be world champions, but the Knicks had proven to themselves that they could play with anyone.
We had come somewhere. We made the playoffs. We made strides. We ended the season on a real positive note, and things were very promising for the upcoming season.
The Knicks had good reason to be optimistic. Now comfortable with Hubie's system, they were prepared to take their play to the next level. And a fiercely determined Bernard King was ready to lead the way.
You know, I was named captain that year. That was really something. It really is. You know, I cried about that because here was a young kid that grew up in Brooklyn, New York. You know, he made it to play for the New York Knickerbockers. Now here he's named captain of the ball club. And that meant I had to take on added responsibility.
It was a challenge that he would rise to, unleashing an offensive attack that was as lethal as it was efficient.
He did very, very few things with pizzazz, with fanciness, with a lot of splash. He was like a swooping bird on the fast break. He had that incredible capacity to end the break with a quick dunk, and you would blink because you didn't even see it happen. His release on his post-up were one of the quickest releases ever in the history of the NBA. His spin moves, he had such a repertoire.
To me, Bernard King was the most exciting, explosive weapon in the history of the Knicks.
And in the span of 48 hours on a Texas road trip, King would make history.
5 seconds. Here's Bernard looking for 50. He's got it.
With San Antonio, Bernard scores 50. Next night we go to Dallas, and you figure, well, what else can he do to top this?
Give it to King, the screaming.
They say, give it to B.
All right, here it is. Bernard looking for 50, and he's got it. Back-to-back 50-point games for Bernard King.
He was a guy that took up on the leadership during that time. He took all the pressure and put it on himself, and he carried the basketball team.
King would carry the Knicks to the playoffs, but as Game 1 began in Detroit, the Knicks were in danger of being quickly overwhelmed by the favored Pistons.
Things were out of sync, and we didn't have the team rhythm that was necessary. It wasn't getting the proper rotations on defense. And then, you know, something interesting happened. In the second half, we started chipping away, and we found ourselves in a game, so to speak.
With the clock running down, the Knicks would again look to King in the clutch, but this time he would get help from an unlikely source.
A steal by Walker. What a play. 50 seconds to go. The Knicks are down by 4. Here's King moving on from Puka. Yes, it's a 2-point game.
Spearheading a frantic Knick press, rookie Darrell Walker rattled the Pistons, helping the Knicks erase a 6-point deficit in under a minute and take a 1-point lead with seconds to go.
5 seconds. Walker got a piece of it. 3 seconds. Lambeer. And it's all over. The Knicks have stolen a ball game. They have defeated the Detroit Pistons 94-90.
Though King continued to ravage the Pistons, averaging 43 points over the next 3 contests, Detroit would win 2 of them, forcing a deciding 5th game in a sweltering Joe Louis arena.
It was at least 120 in there that evening. We had an added problem because Bernard King had the flu. He did not work out in a shoot-around. The flu was sapping his body. He had a splint on the middle finger of the one hand and a splint on the middle finger of the other hand, playing with 2 dislocations. Only the great ones can tunnel vision and focus and block out pain. And that's what Bernard King did.
King, yes, and it counts.
Shattering Elgin Baylor's 5-game playoff scoring record, King was unstoppable.
Here's King over Curran. Yes, 34 for King, and the Knicks now lead at 106-98.
We were up big going into the last 94 seconds. And then Isaiah Thomas put on one of the greatest shows ever seen in the NBA. He scored 16 points in 94 seconds.
King went for the steal. Isaiah, 3-point attempt. He's got it. For time.
They even get the last shot.
Isaiah checking the clock. 5 seconds. Here's Thomas. He's stripped by Walker. Gets it down to Tucker. 2 seconds. He tries to get it away.
Daryl Garrison is not going to allow as timeout ran out. Hubie Brown can't believe it.
But Knick protests would go in vain, and having squandered their lead and their momentum, they would stagger into overtime.
But in that playoff, Bernard King just would not let us lose.
Lewis went up with the left hand. King with a sensational rebound.
And that could have been the backbreaker right there.
Had to be about 7 or 8 guys that was in the lane boxing out, jockeying for position, and out of nowhere, it was like Superman just came above the crowd. And he slammed dunk back in. I knew right then we were on our way.
The Knicks had done it. Against the odds, they had battled their way out of Detroit. But they would have little time to celebrate their victory, as they quickly found themselves headed for another enemy stronghold, where the Celtics, owners of the league's best record, menacingly awaited. Boston wasted little time in pouncing on the weary Knicks, easily taking the first 2 contests. They frustrated Bernard King and then taunted him, vowing that he had seen his last 40-point performance and sending the Knicks home to ponder the humiliation of a Celtic sweep.
When we flew back, we went to our training facility at Uppsala University. We never touched the ball that day. The meeting was an hour, 15 minutes, an hour and 30 minutes. We went into the hearts of people.
Puts it up with the left hand. Oh, and McHale is just hammered by Grenfell.
Kevin McHale, I went right for him. I grabbed him, put him in a bear hug, and that was it for him.
Ernie and I kid about that today. But that was like the injection that we needed.
New York would no longer be pushed around. Home at the Garden, the Knicks were backing down from no one.
You know, when you got 20,000, 18,000 people in Madison Square Garden, and you know they hate the Celtics screaming their lungs out, it makes a difference.
The Celtics had embarrassed them, and now the Knicks would exact vengeance in full measure.
We loved that because now here's a guy saying, well, you're not going to get 40, and then you go out and get 46.
The Knicks defended their home turf, winning all 3 contests at the Garden and taking the Celtics to 7 games. There would be no more taunts as the Knicks pushed the Celtics to the limit. For the first time in years, the future looked as bright as the past.
No one played the Celtics as tough as we did in that 7-game series. They went on to win the championship. We thought we were close.
But the team that would take the floor as the next season began would not be the one that had inspired these dreams of a title. With Cartwright, Robinson, and Webster all lost to season-ending injuries, the Knicks' once bright future had taken a nightmarish turn. But the nightmare was only beginning.
There's Reggie Theus.
out. King hurt himself.
Going up in the air, I knew that I totally destroyed my knee. I knew that going up in the air. I knew that the injury that I suffered probably was career-ending.
As Bernard King was carried from the court, the last of the Knicks' fading hopes died painfully before their eyes.
It was a very difficult time in New York over the next 2 seasons because these guys never came back.
The Knicks would now enter another select membership, one comprised of the league's most prolific losers. This group would not vie for a championship, but rather for the #1 pick in the college draft.
The second pick in the 1985 NBA draft goes to the Indiana Pacers.
Basketball is back in New York City, my friend.
Charged with the responsibility of bringing it back was the Knicks lottery prize, franchise center Patrick Ewing. Though Ewing would win Rookie of the Year, he too would fall prey to the Knicks' injury plague, missing 51 games over the next 2 years. And as the losses continued to mount, New York fans could only wonder whether championship basketball would ever be more than a fond memory.
For the 18th pick in the 1987 NBA draft, the New York Knickerbockers select Mark Jackson from St. Cloud.
It's like we just clicked, clicked together from day one.
Jackson gives it up. Ewing. Jackson with the step for Ewing. Jackson keeping it alive.
With Jackson and a now healthy Ewing leading the way, the Knicks began a dramatic resurgence under new coach Rick Pitino.
See the rotation and make sure you trap big. And when you step out 5 men, trap low.
As the Knicks championship teams had, these young Knicks would also pride themselves on tenacious team defense.
A steal by Ewing.
But they would play it at a very different pace and with their own distinct style. They would bring winning basketball back to the Garden.
It's stolen by Mark Jackson for Ewing.
New York would once again feel the excitement of crucial games.
Stefanovic on the move. And it's all over. The Knicks make it to the playoffs for the first time since the 1983-84 season. And they have done it in dramatic fashion.
I thought it was a great satisfaction for our team because it was a young team and it was something for them to hang their hat on. This was something that they did. And then it carried on over to the second year.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena.
As they had in the early 70s, these words would become a rallying cry for the Knicks and an ominous warning for visiting opponents as this team began to make its own bid for a place in Knick history.
Oakley rebound. A minute and a half to go. First quarter. Beautiful outlet. And
I was part of the fans when the old Knick team was shattering the records. So to be part of a basketball team that's attempting to conquer not only this one, but more records that they set is really special for me.
Every once in a while, it's the first time I did it since the early 70s, I would take the headset off during ovations to try and measure the crowd for my own standards, and it was right there. It was the same as early 70s, and I start to think, hey, maybe something is happening here.
down to three. Jackson from three. Yes! Mark Jackson with a three-point.
They are aware that the people in this town are hungry, that they want another championship season. We feel we're on the right track, and we feel we're going to have a good shot at the ring.
Jackson getting in. And
The only way that myself or anybody else will get their numbers retired in the Garden is by winning a championship. And I definitely want to win, if not one, a couple of championships.
Ladies and gentlemen, one of the greatest players in the history of basketball, Willis Reed.
It is indeed a pleasure to be the first to be numbered to be retired, but I'm sure that there will be other numbers along with me up there one day to be retired, because I think I would be very lonely with number 19 hanging all there by itself.
I am very, very proud. I am very honored. And besides that, I'm overwhelmed.
Here in the Garden on those nights a decade ago, when you roared, the building shook, and we gave our best.
You've been very, very special to me in my life. And wherever I go in life, I'll always be a New York Knick. I thank you very much.
It's all because of the fans and being a motivating factor, the standing ovations, being the sixth man on the floor. These are all memories that I'll never forget. And I just like to say thanks, New York, for everything.